You're about to see breaking news that could reshape the Middle East, and it's all centered around President Donald Trump's bold new Gaza plan. Delegations from Israel, Hamas, and the U.S. are gathering in Egypt for what could be a historic ceasefire, or a diplomatic illusion. What's shocking here isn't just who's negotiating. It's the power play unfolding behind the scenes between Trump and Netanyahu. This is where global politics meets raw pressure. Let's take a look at the report covering this high-stakes negotiation.
Thanks to the great support I received from you, citizens of Israel, and thanks to the bravery of our fighters, I stood up to enormous pressure from home and abroad to stop the war and to give in to Hamas's dictates. You know what would have happened then. We would have left Gaza having achieved almost nothing.
So Netanyahu is dealing with his own domestic politics, his own political coalition, which hinges on a more hardline stance. So what do you see in how he is trying to message this to the public, to the international community?
Well, look, if there's one thing about Prime Minister Netanyahu, is that he values his political survival over all else. And he looks at Donald Trump and he's afraid because Donald Trump is someone who can literally throw him out of office. And that is a unique position for the American president.
Why do you think that? Is it because of Trump's emphasis on the hostages, or what has endeared him to the Israeli community?
I got to tell you, he's beloved in Israel. From moving the American embassy to Jerusalem, to allowing Israel to annex the Golan Heights, to bombing Iran, the list goes on and on. And Netanyahu knows this, that if Trump starts denouncing Netanyahu, and he's a wild card, what if he says, I'm going to cut aid, I'm going to stop sending you the weapons? That would get Bibi thrown out. And so for Netanyahu, he's playing for time. This deal does, if it works, if it goes forward, have the chance to get hostages out, get aid into Gaza, move towards a ceasefire. But it's not much of a deal. I got to tell you, it's more of an announcement and a set of promises and some kind of framework that potentially could possibly have something.
But it's not nothing. President Trump told Jake Tapper yesterday in a series of
What you just heard paints a picture of a world where President Trump, once again, is dictating the terms of global peace. And Netanyahu is cornered. Trump's demand to stop the bombing while celebrating Hamas's partial compliance isn't just diplomacy, it's leverage. He's boxing Israel in publicly, using his massive support among Israelis to force Netanyahu's hand. But here's the deeper layer. This is no ordinary ceasefire. It's a test of dominance. Trump's Gaza plan isn't just about ending a war. It's about redefining who holds the moral and political high ground in the Middle East. And with U.S. voters growing tired of foreign wars, public opinion could push Washington to shift even harder toward a deal, whether Israel's ready or not. This clip is used purely for analysis and commentary, under fair use, to help you understand the stakes behind the headlines.
And President Trump told Jake Tapper yesterday in a series of text messages, we're going to show you some of those, that Hamas faces, quote, complete obliteration if it refuses to give up power in Gaza. I think most agreements have talked about the idea of there is no Hamas ruling Gaza after this scenario. Can you talk about Hamas itself? Like, how does this happen? How do you bring such a group to the table?
First of all, I got to say that that's ridiculous. Look, this has been a hot war for 2 years, but it's a 40-year war with Hamas going back a multi-decades. And you have Hamas in the West Bank fighting a low-boil war with the Israelis and the settlers over there. So the idea that Hamas has done, while I would wish it be so, that is not in the cards in this, and that is what they're going to have to negotiate. Now, what are the modalities? Hamas could potentially be pushed out if, for example, in the reconstruction process, the Arab nations want to put money in to rebuild it and get new Palestinian leaders. But that is not clear as to being part of this deal. Nobody signed the paper in public yet. So that's what I'm looking for. Will the Israelis and the Hamas leaders sign the same piece of paper and agree to the same details? Then we have a deal.
All right, I want to bring...
This is TheCryptagon. Stay sharp, stay informed.